Bet $100 at each track. Belmont, Churchill on Oaks Day to get a $20 bonus. How about that as well?
App only should not be hard for me to accomplish today as well.
We're both in on that one. All right, here we go. Let's do it. First at Belmont. This race changed dramatically this
and
afternoon.
You can watch all of the races from Belmont today on America's Day at the
thank you.
Races.
Sorry.
FS2 from noon to 5:30. So we're going to cut out of here right around 11:45 so you guys can get set and re-break for America's Day at the Races. We got the 9-race card here starting at 12:20.
I'm on that show.
I know you are.
And I wasn't even going to promote it. All right, so we get to
I'll be watching from the limo on the way to Mohegan Sun. How about that?
Nice.
Humble brag.
Going
How about
in
that
style.
one? Yes. Styling and profiling.
Fast main track, turf course good. They're pretty windy afternoon here.
Yeah, I don't know if you could tell. I almost blew away today. Just kidding. It's not that windy.
Big scratches near Gilda Marie comes out. The 3 comes out. The 4 comes out. But the 3, a big scratch too, was going to be part of the pace, at least from that standpoint. But with Gilda Marie coming out, that was who I liked in this race originally. With that one gone, with the 3 gone in here, I think, hey, it's Tatty now has the lead all to herself.
Well, I don't know about that. Charlotte Webley's a pretty fast filly. We'll see what she does going back to the turf. She has the turf race last time where she was in front. It's her only turf race. I don't think it was that bad of a race. Problem is she stopped pretty badly. That's been her want as of late. I have to hope with the top pick of Big Al's Gal that she reverts to some form, and I kind of hope that they hit a little bit up front. I thought this was Big Al's Gal, and hey, it's Toddy. If say a horse like Charlotte Webley had come out, I thought, hey, it's Toddy's chances improved greatly. They're the 2 for me in here, and they're the 2 in me by a long way. Big Al's Gal, Trevor McCarthy, hasn't run since middle of February. She's getting back to the turf. She was a little bit better going longer on the turf. She's getting back to the dirt, rather. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place here. A little bit of a hectic morning. Yeah, she comes off the turf, Charlotte Webley. Back on the dirt. Hey, it's Toddy who's going to be chasing her. I'm hoping Big Al's Gal can benefit from the pace tool and pick them up late.
All right. I saw it different. I thought, hey, it's Toddy. I like the fact, too, she's drawn outside of Charlotte Webley. I think she's inherently a little quicker. We'll find out. But the drop from 25 to 16, she's paired up races her last 2 starts. I think ready to fire a big one here off the bench. And, again, with the 3 out, with a 1 out, I think it's her race to lose, and it goes through her.
You know, when all these horses scratched, I figured they were main track onlys, and my brain automatically went to turf. Because a lot of these fillies in here could run on either surface, I thought, but it will be run on our main track.
Teresa, I thought, interesting long shot also.
Yeah, it's in it. Listen, with a couple of those scratches, namely Gilda Marie and Scatera, as you said, was probably going to be a little bit part of the pace. It's a curious race. I would think it's I want 6s and 7s though.
All right, let's get on to race 2 if I can keep everything here on the desk. New York Bred's 25 claiming race. It's 6.5 furlongs. Cecilia Mike and Runaway Loot, they went head-to-head last time out. I want to get your thoughts on Runaway Loot in here because Drawn Inside was on the lead or close to it anyway last time out when they met, and then Cecilia Mike got a really good setup in that race, granted.
Yeah, and here
but
is...
was wound up being better. Who goes with
Here they are
Loot?
last time, right? Is this the race we're going to take a look at?
Yeah, we're going to look at the
Cecilia
March
Mike and
12th
Runaway Loot?
race.
All right, there's some issues apparently getting this video up.
Daddy Knows could potentially go. Big Mountain potentially could go. But from the rail, Runaway Loot has to go, right?
Almost has to go, Greg. Yeah, and it's an interesting. It adds an interesting dynamic to the race because Big Mountain's fast, but he's sprinting now. He's cutting back, and he's not going 7. He's going 6.5, which there's a big difference. And here it is. Runaway Loot, formerly in the Bob Amendola colors. That's him on the outside. And Cecilia Mike is going to battle on.
2 horse there, purple cap.
Yeah, we're going to battle on between horses and kind of run them down. Kind of run down a softened up Runaway Loot. Man, you would imagine from the rail he's got to go. You would also imagine that Big Mountain does not really do his best running if he's not on the front end. Something's got to give, you would imagine. One's drawn all the way outside, one's laid right along the rail. I would imagine they hit up in here.
Yeah, look, in that race, Runaway Loot, he got softened up on the front end with Manifest Destiny, and that allowed Cecilia Mike to pounce in the stretch. But I think he's coming into this race the right way, and he can maybe get that trip again because I do think Big Mountain and potentially even Daddy Knows, who I don't like Daddy Knows at all in this race.
I can tell, and I think he's going to be the horse that works out the trip. I think he's running against a little bit better. The Wild Banker race is probably better horses. Doubly Blessed was winning 3 in a row. I picked Daddy Knows on top. I think he's going to work out the right trip in here behind Runaway Loot and Big Mountain. I just hope Manny tucks him in. I think he's a little, that those 2 numbers he earned going the mile, I think this horse is a little bit better sprinting. I really do. And I think he gets the right setup in here. Big brother, Mr. Buff, going to go for his first Grade 1 win tomorrow. First graded stakes win tomorrow in the Westchester. That'll be fun to watch.
It too.
Me too. I do as well.
I just can't explain away how poor that last race was from Daddy Knows.
Well, he got caught up in a pretty good pace. I don't know. It was not a good effort. Not a good effort. But he was in a three-ply speed. He was in a three-ply speed battle, rather. And now I think he's going to be better sprinting.
He was a vet scratch, too, right before that race, and then he didn't show up. He packed it in, I should say.
Yeah.
A little bit of a concern.
A little bit of a concern. The other side to that is he's coming back in 16 days, which could be a good sign. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. I also think Financial Stability, who had, he's a horse that never really, I know he has a win in the slop, but he beat nobody when he won in the slop. He's a horse that I think is going to appreciate a little bit of pace in here. He gets the 6.5 furlongs. Wayne Potts did a good job with him. And then last time out, the flat mile, it's just out of his scope. I almost put him on top.
This race, look, I know he's scratching here, but Kaz Kayusko was 20-1 morning line. Cecilia Mike two back was only 3/4 of a length ahead of him. This race, and you could say this about almost any race, but this race, it's going to be Tripp that decides this win because I don't think a lot separates most of these runners in here.
I don't disagree with that. You got Durkin's Call cutting back to a sprint. It would be hard for me to find Vickers Legend. The other 7 all have a chance.
Okay. That's race 2. Third race, Marathon, mile and 3/8. It is the Flat Out. Just real quick, let's give a little love to Flat Out. Originally, he was trained by Scooter Dickey, won the Suburban, 113 buyer. Twice he won the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. The second time he won it when he moved to Bill Mott. And he was actually the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Classic when Drosselmeyer won.
The 2011 Classic. The other Bill Mott.
Yeah.
Drosselmeyer down. That's one of the saddest moments of my life. My 2010 Triple Crown my Belmont Stakes hero. I didn't bet $1 on him in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
No.
Turned to my buddy Dan. We were at Mohegan Sun. Turned to my buddy Dan. He goes, "Who's that?" I said, with a puppy dog face, "That's Drosselmeyer." I was sick to my stomach. I was happy for the horse. I was sick to my stomach that I didn't go back. Money Mike Smith back aboard that day as well. Yeah, that was something. But yeah, Flat Out. Can't say enough good things about him. 1 hour cigar mile as well.
Yeah, that was his finale.
The swan song.
Multiple Grade 1 winner. All right, so the mile and 3/8 here in this Flat Out. And we talked about the son of Flat Out. That's the 3 Irish Cork. He comes in from Parks. He actually comes in on a really nice pattern for John Service.
He's a very interesting horse in here. You got him 4th. I put him 2nd. I put him 2nd more of a function of being against, and we both have the 2-1 favorite Rocketry off the board.
Yeah.
Jimmy Jerkin said it might not be long enough for him. I don't disagree, and I think he's just seen better days. He beat those horses last time at Keeneland because he got a great setup that afternoon. He kind of woke up. But I'm with you. Irish Cork is just as consistent as they come. Never off the board in 14 starts. Obviously a huge class test here today. He's running against some hard knockers. He's running against horses that win races in abundance. Musical Heart, Zoomer, even Rocketry's a 6-time winner. Of course, Air Attack, we both put on top. There's a fun race. Bang for your buck. I think Irish Cork's the horse you want to try to get into the exotics.
Yeah, and a 4-year-old who's sort of just coming into his own now. A lot of these other horses, like Rocketry, Musical Heart, older horses who've been around for a while.
Rocketry kind of reminds me of the old Gallop race of horses. They would crown, and then they would start to go to the other side of the mountain. I mean, look, he's 7 years old. Being on the other side of the mountain is not something that should be surprising to any of us. And, he's got a lot of – he's 7. He's got a lot of miles on that body with these mile and 3/8 and mile and a half races. Still a full horse as well, which is kind of interesting. I don't want him as the favorite. I could tell you that.
Especially off the bench.
Yeah, especially off the bench.
Well, we both go to Air Attack in here, and it's going to be a rematch between Air Attack, Musical Heart in this spot. Musical Heart, we're going to show you this race, got to the front, had the lead, had things his own way. He was a little rank early. He was throwing his head around early on in this race, but then Air Attack is just going to have his way with him.
Yeah. Here's my problem today with Musical Heart. You have him 2nd, I have him 3rd. He's got to deal with Zoomer today.
He's the X Factor horse, right?
He's the X Factor horse. He's faster than Zoomer. I can't imagine the intent is going to be as heavy with Musical Heart to get to the lead as it will be with Zoomer. I mean, Zoomer has 2 races on his card that stick out above and beyond his rest, and they're both on the front end. Last time, aided by the racetrack. Tenderfoot was a big favorite in there. Chestertown was a shorter price than him. He took advantage of his speed bias. He went to the lead. He did not stop. I'm channeling my Andy Serling in here. Those numbers will be inflated. Those margins of victory will be inflated by speed biases, by track biases. I think that's a great example of it. But his 2 best races, even if you want to say that race is 7, 8, 10 points faster than it really is, it still makes that and his other wire-to-wire win his 2 best races by far. He has to get to the lead or he's not going to get a piece of this. That's not the same situation, I don't think, for Musical Heart. He's a horse that can sit and be productive. I don't know if Zoomer is, so that, to me, puts Zoomer on the front end.
Okay, but yeah, look, Air Attack, when he went by Musical Heart, he was 3 wide around that first turn. I thought Musical Heart had things his own way. We both prefer him. He's won back-to-back starts here, and he proved he can win in a mile and 3/8.
Yeah, it was a good effort last time. I talked to John Toscano about it after he won. He's starting to think about, a lot of these distance races, even though there's no longer a Breeders' Cup Marathon, a lot of racetracks still have that the distance program in place, if you will. Then there's a lucrative ungraded stakes normally on the Breeders' Cup undercard. You'd like to get to that point, but there's races, we have all our races here. The Brooklyn, obviously, in 5 weeks during Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. There's some other distance races. The Birdstone up at Saratoga is 150,000, going a mile and 3/4. So we have a nice program here for the distance with Temperance Hill in the fall. So he doesn't have to leave New York, and there's 600,000 waiting for him at these marathon distances.
Let's move on to the 4th, mile and a 16th. It's on the inner turf, New York bred maiden 40 race. Devilish Mood is where I wound up. I see you have him 3rd in this spot here. His debut at Tampa, it was a low level, 32 maiden claiming race. I actually really like this race, and it was the last time he was on turf. They put him on dirt the next 2 starts. We're going to take a look at it here. He was 4 wide into that second turn. He actually got bumped a little bit in the stretch, and then you see him, he's going to veer out a little bit. He was a little erratic. It was his debut, but
Winning
I love
effort.
his gameness to the wire.
Winning effort here, yeah. Everything went wrong, and he gets beat 2 head bobs. Big effort. Now he comes off the layoff for Rob Atras, who gets him back to his preferred surface. I mean, we know one thing. He'll be scratching on any off-the-turf races we see. I mean, he can't run 2 steps on the dirt.
Yeah.
He really can't. And now he gets back to the lawn. Big effort in his debut. Listen, almost a 70 buyer for the winner in a maiden claimer at Tampa as a 3-year-old. It's a pretty big fig. And if he can come back to that race, he's going to be a major player in here. I don't like the 2 starts and stops. It's only about 10 weeks now. I don't love that, but I do love the fact that he's getting back to his preferred surface.
What do you know? Please share.
I don't know anything. These M Shawishes have come out running. I wanted to take a horse at a little bit of a price in here. Nick Juarez has been aggressive. He put that horse on a lead in the last race yesterday and busted up the top Borg at $75 change. And I'll tell you what, I don't see...
Talking about the 9 here, Rally Squirrel.
Yeah, I don't see a ton of speed in here. Maybe him, maybe a little King Moon Racer. You know where King Moon Racer's from, right?
No.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You have a toddler at home. You better get on.
I watch that movie every year.
King Moon Racer is the king of the island of misfit toys. Come on, man.
Oh, okay.
Let's get on it. Yeah, I want to use Rally Squirrel. I want to use King Moon Racer a little bit getting onto the turf. Fresh gelding for George Weaver. Maybe even a little Breaking Stones. Pat Reynolds. I'll tell you what, Pat Reynolds has his number first time is 33%. He's 2 for 6. I feel like they've all run. I didn't look it up. They all run when they go to Patty's Barn. These first-time turf. He gets an aggressive rider in Louis Castro. Fresh gelding, first-time LASIK surface switch. He's a big price. I wanted to shoot for the moon in here a little bit.
All right, you go with the first time with the Dam. Actually, he's produced 2 multiple winners on the turf. Jose Lizcano comes back yesterday, had 2 mounts after being out since the end of January with knee and shoulder surgery. Gets up to win at 11-1, final jumps. He's going to be on wicked easy in terms of where that horse is run on the grass. It's a big drop in class.
Yeah, it is.
And he's such a difference maker on the turf.
Yeah, he is. And that's what that horse, to me, is a must-use in the race as well.
Should we move on to the 5th?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it.
It's an interesting start to the pick 6. Which, by the way, that thing paid almost $30,000 yesterday. The first 3 horses paid 4, 5, and 4. What
It's good to have it back, isn't it?
almost 30 grand.
That's why we've missed it.
I had two friends alive to 5 horses in the last race yesterday and get beat. 5, and they rolled. I think the shortest one was 9,300. I had 2 friends alive to five horses. They had 7 of the horses covered between them.
Did they back up?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
That's why you have to back up.
I stayed away from both of them after the finale yesterday.
Late pick 5 begins at 7 furlongs on the turf. New York bred entry-level allowance race. I originally liked the 11 in here. I went back to the 1. I just think Big Time Lady is going to be able to take advantage on the rail, speed, and go gate to wire.
Yeah, I thought there's a chance for some chaos earlier in the early pick 5 sequence, and now I don't. I think this is going to be a very formful race. To me, I just want the 1, 8, and 11. They're the 3 favorites on the morning line, David's morning line. 2-1 on the 11. 5-2 on the 1, and then 4-1 on my top pick. I went to Moana's Tail. Yeah, I mean, Big Time Lady makes a lot of sense. Her first race on the grass, she got an amazing ride from Murat Ortiz Jr. saving ground and slipping along the inside, and then she ran into Love Struck. Second time out, stretching out. She cuts
undefeated
back,
for Bill Mott.
Yeah, cuts back to the 7. She's drawn the rail in both of her turf starts prior to this. She gets back on the inside. Eric Cancel coming off a fantastic winter over at the Big A. She makes a lot of sense. I think the same can be said for Kept Waiting, who comes back to New York. She ran well off the claim for Robbie Falcone when she broke her maiden against special weight, and then went out to California, ran against open starter horses. She ran okay. Don't love the starts and stops. Ran once in 2 months. Haven't seen her for 3 months now. We'll see. There were some races that she could have ran into California. I'm assuming that she bypassed. She waits here. I kind of don't blame guys and gals for waiting. It's $80,000 for this other than for the state race. $80,000. It's worth more stakes races in most places.
It's amazing. We have that race from Kept Waiting. It was back on January the 31st, as Anthony mentioned, out west at Santa Anita. Let's take a look at it. Wound up 3rd in this race. The 6-horse in here, the winner of this race, actually 2 starts later, comes back and runs a 91 buyer on the turf. So really took a big move forward. I thought it was a decent effort. And, in terms of numbers in this race, has run a better number than anybody else in this group has.
And here's the other thing: if you're a supporter of Kept Waiting today, she's done something that very few horses do. All 6 starts, she's steadily improved, steadily improved her figures, and now getting into the middle of a 4-year-old campaign, starting to mature a little bit. I think you saw the jump from the 2.5 months between starts, 9 weeks between starts last time. If she takes another step forward, she's going to be tough.
And you threw the 7 in there. I actually thought the 7 was interesting, too. First time on the grass. Dam never won, and this is the first foal. We'll see. But intriguing runner.
Yeah, she needs to break. She's had some issues with that in the past. She needs to break. We'll see how she does getting to the turf. And Moana's Tail, I kind of thought last time was – I thought she ran well last time. She also looked like she needed the race.
Yeah,
now
been
she
off
comes
since
back.
July.
Yep, Mott brings her back in less than 3 weeks. Goes to his main man, Jose Lascano. There's some speed in here. I put her on top today.
Do we break?
Time to break. Hear from our friends at Saratoga Water, and then we got a late pick 4 to talk about.
All right, let's do it.
Make business meetings exquisite. Make a weekend outing exquisite. Make a late night snack exquisite. Make a night on the town exquisite. For nearly 150 years, the Saratoga Spring Water Company has been producing the finest spring water available anywhere. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Picking things back up here and talking horses. Greg Wolf, Anthony Stabile on Oaks Day. Race 6, it kicks off the late pick 4. New York bred maiden special weight, 6 furlong sprint. There is no one really to fall in love with in this race. The morning line favorite in here, Irresistible Gal. It's Brad Cox. Comes off as second against the next out winner. I guess that's where you start in this race. That's who I wound up with. She doesn't have to win this race.
Summer Brew came back to win Sunday, I believe.
With a 76 buyer. Jumped 16 points.
Big improvement. And now, I'll tell you what, she ran against some nice, I think a nice little field of New York bred fillies the other day, and she blitzed them on the front end. Maybe the wet track helped her, I don't know. She hadn't really run that well prior on a wet track, and she ran really well on Sunday. So she could be one that's just getting good after a little bit of a rest. I couldn't pick her off her last 2 races. She probably should have got the job done 2 back. And then last time, I'm starting to worry, Greg, that she's going to be one of these horses that's in the maiden ranks for a while. That's not a bad thing if you own her. I can tell you that right now. She's earned almost $27,000 running 4th, 2nd, and 3rd so far in her career.
The king of 3-year-old fillies right now. Not going to get it done here.
He's the best. He's up there, man. I don't know if I'd put him the king, but he's certainly. If we were looking for a new Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, he'd be on the ballot. I can tell you that. Yeah, she can win. She can absolutely win. When I see horses like her, and when I get that in this very, very sick head of mine that maybe she's going to be a maiden, I'm going to try and beat horses like that ordinarily. Taking a couple of chances here. Jorge Abreu for dirt firster sprinting. I mean, I'm giving you ice in the winter right now. These horses if you are playing pick 4s and pick 5s, you have to use these horses. That's it.
Callie fits the 3 here. The Dam, she actually won the first 2 starts of her career, 3 of her first 4, and she's graded stakes placed.
They must be used. They must be used. That's it. And he does really well with his state bred. So she's on all my tickets. You have her second. I have her second. Vivizano for Steve Christ and Phil Gleaves. I thought Vivizano was very interesting in here. Now, when you look at Vivizano and you look at her pedigree, most people think turf. They didn't run this filly on the turf until August last year. They could have run her in a couple of different spots. And she's not in off the turf races. She just was in intended dirt races. Bang up debut. She didn't really look like she liked the slop in her second start. Came back and ran okay up at Saratoga. Then they tried the turf. They sent her along on the turf. She didn't run that badly on the turf. Then you see the layoff. So obviously something went amiss. Comes back, catches a sloppy track. She's already shown you that she doesn't really prefer a sloppy track. Race under her belt. 6 furlongs again. Jose Lezcano's climbing aboard for the first time. I think she makes a lot of sense in the end. I'll tell you what. Her races as a 2-year-old are equal to, if not better.
If not better, that debut.
Than Irresistible Girls races as a 3-year-old. She improves off that sloppy track start with the race under her belt now a month later. I hope she's 6-1 today. I'll be honest with you. I want to bet one. I want to really hone in on one horse today on this card. She's the one. I like this filly a lot today.
You're finding, some form that's dirtied up in there. I'm going to throw one more at you, too. They've given up start number 2 on Dom's Feisty Girl. She was 2-1 in her debut. She wasn't the favorite, but she took a ton of money. Irad Ortiz Jr. got the mount in that debut for Gary Siaka. Obviously, she had a little bit of ability. It was a sloppy racetrack. She showed brief speed and then packed it in. Maybe she didn't like the slop. Everyone's given up on her now. She's 15-1 morning line. Dom's Feisty Girl has got to be on my ticket.
Yeah, maybe she was the old adage last time they only told 2 people, blonde-haired people and brunette-headed people. The whole world knew about her. I didn't know a word. She didn't run 2 steps. Something must have happened after she broke. Or maybe it was. Maybe she was the sloppy track. I always love betting tips back. Unless it was the sloppy track, man, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna need a real strong sell. And here's the other problem: she's 15-1 on the morning line. I wish Andy was here so I could bet him 7 million lunches. She won't be a dime higher than 6-1 because people are going to bet her back.
Oh, you think that low?
Seeing she took all of the money she took last time? Yeah. Absolutely. I think she'll take more money because, listen, that's not casual money. That's money that's quote-unquote the Day News.
Yeah.
They're going to bet her back on the fast track today.
Race 7, this is going to be fun because we got the return of a high-profile runner for one of the most powerful barns in the country here. Mile and a 16th here in this allowance optional 80 race. Winner of the Curlin, who beat Endorsed in that race, highest honors. Returns for Chad Brown, been off since August of 2019. We last saw him in the Travers as a 3-year-old. Now he's back as a 5-year-old.
Horse I'm most looking forward to watching run on the card today is here. Not going to get too excited. He'll wind up being 4-5 when all's said and done, I would think. And here he is. Tell you what, at the time, him and Looking Bikinis came into this race, and it looked like trainer Chad Brown had a nice little hold on the Travers later on. Looking at Bikinis didn't pan out. He missed a bunch of time. This horse, talk about missing time. I'm sorry, 20 months away from the races. 20 months. Sorry about that, a little technical difficulty. We lost the late rally there. He got up. He beat Endorsed, I promise you. He beat Endorsed. He beat Looking at Bikinis
Yeah.
that day. He didn't run that bad in the Travers at all, and then obviously something that's kept him away for almost 2 years. He's back now. Manny Franco, the good fortune to ride with some of the other guys out of town, I would assume, today. He's 8-5 on the morning line. He runs into another returning horse, though,
Yes, he does.
in Livia Beast Life, who I was a big fan of last year. Livia Beast Life had a nice little run late summer into the fall before they ran him, and something obviously went amiss with him in the Preakness, Greg.
Just missed against the horse who's right now the best horse in the handicap division in Mysticite, as you said. Yeah, he has a lot of upside in here. Jorge Abreu. I thought Doubly Blessed was going to be really tough, too. That mile and 3/8, he doesn't want to do a mile and 3/8, at least I believe. He was in that race against Air Attack and Musical Heart. His 2 races before that, he'd won 3 in a row, but his 2 races prior to that, those are good enough to beat anybody in this field.
His race 2 back. I'll tell you what, Highest Honors better come back with his running shoes on. I thought about picking this horse as well. And I didn't know who you picked in the race. I thought about picking him. I feel like the blue sky for Highest Honors. And I think you have a little bit more confidence when it doesn't necessarily have to be Chad. For me, if I'm being completely honest, it is Chad. When they bring these horses back, just because of the success we've already seen him have, especially with the better class, Lady Eli, Bricks and Mortar, Annals of Time.
So let me say something I was going to bring up because you just said it. It seems like he does better with these returning horses with turf horses.
That is true too. But and these horses haven't won. But Looking at Bikinis is the first one to come to mind. He's won off some extended layoffs twice now, from that Travers last year to an entry level or a second level allowance win here last summer, and then again from November to this past weekend here at Belmont. So he's won off 6-month breaks. This is a much bigger break. I happen to think it could also be with the class of horse. We just named 3 Grade 1 winners. This is a horse he thought was going to win the Travers 2 years ago, and now he brings him back. I think there's a lot of blue sky for him. And it's hard for me, knowing what he thought of this horse, to pick him against a horse that's been winning starter allowance races in the winter at Aqueduct. It's kind of hard for me to look at a horse that won the Curl and got beat 5 lengths at the Travers and not fire on him.
But speaking of hyped horses and high expectations for horses, you got another one in here that was really highly thought of in Creed. What happened to Creed in his comeback race?
He needed his race. He's not a sprinter. He showed that in his last 2 starts last year. He needs to go long. Shug's probably the most old-school training method guy on that backstretch now. All of the good horses, whether they were going to run in the Derby, whether they were older horses, the 3-year-olds or the older horses, whatever they were going to do, they all came back in sprints 30 and 40, 50 years ago. They all came back in sprints. So, yes, I'm pretty sure Shug knew when he led this horse over there at Gulfstream Park, of all places, with this horse's running style, going 6 furlongs. I don't think he thought – he probably didn't comb his hair that day. I don't think he thought he was going to get his picture taken. But he got what he needed out of that race. He came running late, and now he gets back to a mile and a 16th.
He's 2 for 2 at Belmont at this distance. He's dangerous.
He's dangerous. He still needs to get faster.
Okay.
He still needs to get faster. But it's an interesting race. It's a fun 7th race today.
Be fun to see that returner for Chad Brown, no question. Race 8, it's on the turf, 6 furlong sprint. Entry-level allowance group in here. Union Gables is where I wound up at the spot. You have him second. Let's start with who you like in here, the 8.
Yeah, listen, the source comes over from Europe, first time Chad.
Well, let's start with my horse.
Yeah, this is the local Union Gables. Listen, again, ice in the winter. I think this is all 3s and 8s. This horse ran up. She was giant effort.
It's a 1-2 favorite, royal approval.
Giant effort, right? She gets beat by a Wesley Ward horse shipping in just her first. This is her first turf start, and she comes back on this horse. This horse doesn't leave her. Most Wesley Ward horses come with that run, and they leave horses for mincemeat at the 8th pole and the 16th pole. She did not go away. It probably wasn't the smartest thing to run her in the Breeders' Cup. Took a shot. Going long, and B, that draw at that was the end of her day. I am not going to hold that race against her. She gets back sprinting. She won first time out, so her running fresh doesn't bother me as much. I thought she had a big chance, and when Chad brings these horses over, they win at almost 25%. The ROI is always going to be short because they bet them all. With that
Manown,
said,
is that how we say it?
I would go with Manown, yeah.
Okay. Group 3 winner when we last saw her at Cork in Ireland.
Broke a maiden in the Group 3. I don't know what else to say. You know, I mean, there's not really much else to say, I don't think. More often than not, he doesn't bring the accomplished sprinters over. He brings the accomplished distance horses over. Most of the times when he brings the sprinters over, they're looking to run through their conditions. She's looking to run through her conditions as well. But she won a group, and I know it was against 2-year-olds. I know it was a 2-year-old race. I get that, but still, to run in a Group 3 and to get the money and beat the boys and doing so, I know they do it a lot more than we do. But
have you heard anything
I
about
haven't
her?
heard a word.
Yeah.
It's funny. Andy and I say it all the time. This is not a horse I'm gonna ever inquire about. If I'm bothering Chad for something, it's for radio, it's for TV, it's to ask him about this horse. Now maybe we see her later on in the summer at Saratoga in some stakes races, and we got to find out about her. If Fetching's the third horse in, and Fetching's a nice filly, again though, I feel like more blue sky with both Union Gables and with Manon. Can Fetching win this race? Yeah, Fetching can win. I don't think she ran particularly well off the bench, but you know what? Maybe she needed the race. Problem is she hasn't needed the race off the bench in the past. In fact, they've been some of her best efforts, the fresh efforts. So that does bother me a little bit. She's the third horse in here, but for me, there's a big gap between Union Gables and Fetching.
And I don't know much about this trainer, but Lexinator, a 3-year-old debut for this one, cuts back in distance. I thought a little bit intriguing coming back here and shortening up.
Yeah, Nicholas Sedaris. He's about 1 for 30 over the last couple of years. Ran that horse that I liked. I can't remember the horse's name now. She ran third, ran a big race, went to the lead, ran third, got beat a couple of lengths here at a big price on maybe opening day on the turf, or one day last week. I think it was opening day, in fact. But he's a 15% trainer in his career, so yeah.
And I think this race, we might be able to it'll be too late, with the pick 5 and the pick 4, but if you're playing this race, when it comes up, a lot will be told. The story of how good this filly is, what she is on the board. What do you think Manown will go off at?
4 to 5.
Yeah, seems like it.
I think she'll be bet. I don't ordinarily disagree with David, but I think this one's going to take a lot of money.
Okay. Going to close things out with a license fee stakes race. 6 furlongs on the inner turf, and 3-9 for you, 9-3 for me. What'd you like about Lady Lawyer?
We agreed a little bit towards the end of the card. So when I have a tough time with races, I do default to Chad Brown, especially in turf races. She turf sprints. She wins turf sprints. She runs in turf sprints. They tried her going long. She ran okay. I still think she's a little bit more effective going shorter, but she ran okay at Keeneland. Wouldn't be too surprised if the ground helped her that day with a little give in it. We have a little give in it today, getting that mile, because she looked she looked like she was ready to give it up the last eighth of a mile or so. I just think her class carried her the rest of the way. I'm not going to, like I said, if I don't think she really wants to go long, I'm certainly not going to hold the stakes effort against her last time down at Gulfstream Park. I don't think you can get more. You can get different surfaces than a good course at Keeneland and any course at Gulfstream Park. So I'm certainly not going to hold that against her. She ran really well in all of her other starts. If she comes with her A race, she's going to win. Jakarta's interesting. Jakarta was entered. Yesterday it came off the turf.
Tomorrow at Churchill.
And she's going to come here. Unless she's a late scratch, and in stakes races you can have up until 45 minutes to scratch. I would imagine she's here. I didn't hear anything.
By the way, is it at Churchill tomorrow?
She's
listed with blinkers off.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I do wonder if, with her staying in this, I noticed that, and I think the difference there was the distance.
Okay.
Going the 2-turn mile as opposed to the 1-turn 6 furlongs. Maybe they want to employ different strategies. I don't know.
And she's dangerous.
She is. She's dangerous whenever she shows up. She wins on turf. She wins on dirt. She runs well on wet track. She runs well on. The one time she ran here, she was in front of Newspaper of Record. That's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't put her in my top 4, I was hoping actually she ran at Churchill tomorrow because I actually really like her in that race tomorrow in an even tougher spot.
Yeah, she's running against Got Stormy and Blowout and Zofel and all those fillies tomorrow. Yeah, if she's actually here and she's running here, it's going to make Blowout tough because Blowout's going to be loose on the lead in that turf mile tomorrow down at Churchill.
All right, so meanwhile, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Lady Lawyer, she's a sprinter. I like when they have to play a horse's game. They got to play her game today. She's a sprinter. The other horse I like in here is Sweet Melania. Like you, Sweet Melania has never turf sprinted. Can she win? Yeah, she can absolutely win. I think they're the 2 fillies in here, along with She's My Type. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a 2-horse race. It's probably a 2.5-horse race.
So painful for me last summer. So I single Sweet Melania. I have the pick 6 twice, late pick 5 3 times. If she wins, she takes the lead, and then Chad Brown selflessly re-rallies, comes and gets her by a nose at the wire.
I apologize if I'm not going to be upset about that. That was a very good result for me. Yes,
paid like $21,000 that late pick 5, didn't it?
Yeah, that was a good result. And here she is, in an absolute common gallop in the Wonder Again last year.
What do you think about her sprinting?
I think she has to be used. This is a race. Jakarta's here, so she's going to be part of the pace. I would imagine they're going to try and send Introduced a little bit. And I would imagine Sadie Lady did come out. Okay, I did not get that scratch. I would imagine Robin Sparkles is going to come firing out of there first off the layoff. Now, she's interesting.
She was won 4 of 5 and 3 in a row.
She's interesting, man. She's won all of her turf races. Perfect 4 for 4 on the turf. I mean, she's getting a litmus test today. She's going to run against some nice fillies today. But, man, speed kills on the racetrack. And I don't know how she gets loose, but if she's able to get loose, she'd be tough.
She's a fighter, too.
Yeah.
It's a big test for her, though.
Big test. And they did a lot with her towards the end of the year last year. She needed that break. Obviously, couldn't outrun me and you in a horse suit on the dirt, even though the wet track race was okay. But I don't think you can really bank on. And I know a lot of trainers, and Bruce has a little bit of an old school mentality. When they have success on one surface, you don't want to start flipping them back and forth.
I'm surprised and wondering why they're making this move with Sweet Melania to turn her back in distance. It's a little strange, right?
Take a look at her form and let me know what you want to do if she was in the Just a Game. What price would she be in the Just a Game? 30 to 1? 20 to 1?
I mean, that's a great
Try
one.
something different.
Yeah.
Tactical. Listen, speed going long. Maybe she works out a trip right off the pace. She's going to have 2 or 3 targets today. That's why I like her. I like her on the cutback. 6 might be a little tough.
7 would be great.
7 would probably be better. Hey, maybe she wants the turf sprint. Maybe she's going to sit 3rd, 4th today, make one run and gobble them up. I'll tell you one thing. She's got the right guy on her back to do it. Jose Lezcano works out a trip better than anybody around here. As good as anybody around here anyway.
And on the turf, no question.
Yeah.
Fun card, really intriguing late pick 5 here coming up this afternoon. Happy Oaks Day to everybody. And again, America's Day at the Races. We'll see you 12:30 to 5:30 this afternoon. Is that right? Or 12,
So it looks like 12 to 5:30. We go to first post 12:20. And to play all of the action, it's only at one place. Show them, Francisco. Ira Betts. That's it, man. Derby 25. I think that expires tomorrow.
Okay, it does, yeah. Good through tomorrow. Good luck, everyone. NyraBets.com or go to the NyraBets app to get involved and bet Kentucky Oaks Day. Belmont and Churchill bet 100 at each track and earn a $20 bonus. Got to use the app to take advantage of that as well.
Yes, sir. All good. There's the America's Day at the Races, noon to 5:30, FS2. Ton of action.
Looking
Good job,
forward
my
to
friend.
it. Yeah, I had fun.
You got Maggie tomorrow.
Yes. Maggie and I on tomorrow for Kentucky
It's going to be
Derby
a
Day.
different view here tomorrow. It's going to be Maggie. It's not going to be me.
Yeah,
Big A's not going to be
I love
staring
working
back
with you,
at
but yeah, I'll be fun with Maggie. She's
back.
already put in all the work, too.
I'll be back with you Sunday.
Sounds good. All right.
Hopefully with bags of cash from Connecticut.
Let's make it happen. Let's have a productive Oaks and Derby weekend. Good luck, everybody.
Johnny Embrial up with the scratches and changes in just a little bit.